Now, the 2024 U.S. presidential elections is just weeks away. It promises to be a defining contest and shaping the nation's trajectory for generations to come. The former President Donald Trump is due to convene a roundtable of Latino, they call themselves Latino there, business leaders in Miami. And the Vice President, who's also the Democratic candidate, Kamala Harris, is going to spend the day in Washington.
With the last leg of campaigning underway, both the candidates, US Vice President Kamala Harris and former US President Donald Trump, are putting their heart and soul into the process amid sharp attacks at each other. Migration and conflict in Ukraine are some of the key issues dominating in this election. Democrat nominee and Vice President Kamala Harris said that Trump would have Ukraine surrender to Russia if he won the November presidential election.
He would surrender. He would have Ukraine surrender its fight against an aggressor, violating its sovereignty. If Donald Trump were president, Vladimir Putin will be sitting in Kyiv.
Donald Trump calls Kamala Harris a cognitive mess. Lashing out at Harris during a rally, Trump said Harris doesn't have the compassion, the smarts, or the strength to be the president of the United States.
She's a mess. She's a cognitive mess, and nobody wants to talk about it. And we can't have 4 more years. We had 4 years of it. We can't take another 4 years of it, can we? Kamala Harris does not have the compassion, the smarts, or the strength to be the president of the United States. She just can't do the job. You know it. Everybody knows it.
A new Reuters Ipsos poll found that Democrat US Vice President Kamala Harris held a marginal lead over Republican former President Donald Trump, with a glum electorate saying the country is on the wrong track. With opinion polls showing a close race, the two candidates are picking up the pace, their frenzied campaign schedules underlining the importance of small pockets of voters that could put either candidate over the top. Bureau Report, DD, India.
Amrit Singh is joining us from Texas in the United States. Amrit, thanks for being with us. Good morning. So the big issue in Texas is always immigration. And of course, it's a red state for the longest time. So in this, just put that into context for us. Why is immigration such a big issue there?
Immigration is a big issue, Mark, because this is a southern state, the Sunshine State of the United States, that shares the famed wall, or the ill-famed wall with Mexico, and you see a lot of illegal border crossings here, which has become a contentious issue after Donald Trump raked it up in a big way, both in this election. He had raked it up in the last election, 2016, when he had won. He had raked it up. He had said that he will build a wall so high that the illegal immigrants wouldn't be able to scale. But after the Democrats came in, and that has come in, that's what the Democrats have come into, a lot of criticism, and you see Kamala Harris walking a thin line on that. She visited the wall too, where she said that the system is broken, the immigration system needs to be fixed, but it's not her administration's giving. It is which has been there for a long time. So given the fact that the immigration issue has been raised by Donald Trump in a way that he vilifies the immigrants, he's used words like rapists and murderers and criminals for them, it has become a big issue. And given the fact that, as you said, Texas has been a red state for a very, very long time, that means they've voted for the Republicans for the past 55 years. Before that, about 55 years back, it was once that the Democrats had won an election, but it's an out-and-out red state since then. So it finds resonance because, when immigrants come, or illegally actually,
Right.
They take away the jobs, but they do contribute to the economy. Houston, Austin, where I am, Dallas has a huge population of immigrants, the legal immigrants, including the Indian Americans and the Indians working on H-1B visas, working in the automobile industry, working as engineers, working as IT consultants, working in the financial sector. So clearly, they contribute to the economy here, but the popular perception because of the wall
Right.
and the illegal border crossings from Mexico is that they are harming the economy, taking away the jobs, and which has become a big issue here, Mark.
Right. Also, I mean, the American election is such that, even though someone can have the popular vote, they can lose the electoral college vote. And that is something that, many people call some form of gerrymandering. But the fact is that the polls seem to suggest that Kamala Harris has 46% to Donald Trump's 43%. That's what we are quoting. But on the ground, what's the reality in terms of the electoral college?
Well, it's neck and neck. As the day of election comes closer, it is getting even more interesting. It's very close. It's a very close contest. The percentage point difference that you point out to factor in, Mark, the margin of error, and what you get is a neck and neck competition or a neck and neck race. So the candidates are too close to call. The election is too close to call. It finally will boil down to how the swing states or the battleground states vote. If the states which are red and the states which are blue vote traditionally as they have, and there's no upset on that, no toss-up on that, I think it will come down to the swing states as it always does. Pennsylvania, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, they will become important states given their numbers. Pennsylvania has the biggest in the electoral college. Amongst the swing states has the highest numbers, 19 electoral votes. That's why you see the candidates focusing their efforts, their energies, and also the money. In fact, I was talking to someone. He was saying out of every $4 spent on this campaign, $1 is going to Pennsylvania. Compare that with, say, the state of California, which has 54, or where I am in Texas, 40 votes. Pennsylvania has merely 19 votes in the electoral college, but one out of every $4 of the campaign is going there. That gives you a sense of the importance the swing states or the battleground states hold, and that's where the candidates are now focusing their energies on. Mark.
Right. Also, the process of election is quite different. I mean, there are no, there's early voting that's already taking place. Millions of people have already voted. Then there are no sort of, limits on exit polls and things like that. So these parties already seem to have an idea who has the advantage on the ground if they have gone through their polls. But the point is that both seem to be very confident at the current time. So, I mean, what's the ground feel?
Both, yes, you are right. Both are confident because polls suggest a very neck and neck competition. As I said, the race is tight. The pollsters, depending upon who's polling, is giving numbers to them, but all pollsters have put out it's a close call for both the parties, and therefore the parties are confident. That's why, as you refer to the early voting, you saw a huge turnout in early voting in Georgia. You saw the same in North Carolina. So they have been able to mobilize their voter base because it is a very close call. And secondly, this is, if you look at the whole campaign narrative, it is a very, very sharp narrative where it's a very polarized narrative where both candidates are trading barbs, making personal attacks, putting out their policies, that is leading to an effect on the ground. People are the society is equally polarized. So one expects a huge turnout, and that is what gives confidence to both parties. Their voter base is coming out in huge numbers, and also not just their voter base. They're trying to get into the other voter base, traditionally which votes for the other party.
Yes.
There are Republicans who are not happy with Donald Trump. And there are Democrats who feel.
Amrit, I'll have to cut in there. Thanks very much for joining us. We seem to be getting some live footage coming in from Russia. And I've been told that Prime Minister has had some more bilateral meetings. Thanks, Amrit, for the moment.